Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your homeboy Big Mac coming at you straight from North Carolina, man, with another story. I was sitting here thinking about. Hold on a second. I was sitting here thinking about um one of the second time I went to prison, and some stories that I might could get from that. And that's kind of dark, man. Let me cut the light on. That's a little better. Anyway, so I'm in the county. First of all, let me tell you about the charge. Alright, I got a DUI, assault on a government official, and resisting arrest, and a whole slew of charges because I fought the cops whenever they pulled me over. So my thing was, I was already on probation. I knew had been drinking whenever I was driving that vehicle. So I knew I was going up for a minute. I already had a 2-year suspended sentence. I'm going to be looking at another 2-year suspended sentence, plus 45 days on the back end of it for the assault on the government official, and brandishing a weapon, and because I had a knife, and something else, I forget. It was just a slew of charges: reckless endangerment, speed, and crossing left to center. Just a bunch of stuff. So, anyway, I was sitting in the county jail, and I was like, you know what, man, I'm not finna sit in here for 3-6 months fighting this case. I'm just gonna take it on. Let's just get on, put me on the first thing, smoking. So, on my first court date, which was 7 days after my arrest, I signed a waiver for a court-appointed attorney, signed a waiver that I wanted to represent myself and handle my case that day. So the judge, I'll never forget it. It was Judge Marion Warren in Brunswick County. He's retired now, I think, but he was a judge for a long time there in the district court, a long time, and everybody down here knows him. That's been in the courtroom. So what I did was, after I signed my waivers, I was just expecting dude to, alright, blah, 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 here's your time, see you later, best of luck to you, whatever. But after I signed the waivers, they took him the bailiff took the papers and handed them to him, and he said, okay, he signed them, and he sat them down, and he stood up, and he sat on the corner of the bench and did like this right here, and was like, hey, I want to ask you a few questions. I was like, what is this about, And I was like, and I'm standing up, I'm in the jury box with the rest of the inmates. The whole courtroom is full of people, probably 200 people in there, because my last name starts with a D, so I come up pretty early. And he said, I want to ask you a few questions. He says, how much you drink a day? I said, I really don't count, but I would say, at least a 12-pack, maybe a couple, a little bit of liquor on top of that, after work every day. And he says, okay, what kind of beer do you drink? And I told him, I ain't gonna say the name brand on here because they might pull the video. And he was like, you know what? You're an alcoholic. I said, well, I don't really think I have too much of a problem with it, but maybe it has some sort of problem with me. Who knows? So anyway, he said, I'm gonna do you a favor. Instead of giving me the 4 years and 45 days he could have gave me, he gave me 1 year, 1 day, flat sentence. So, which is old law, And I'm not going to get into explaining what new law and old law is here in North Carolina. If you want to know, you can Google it. But it was old law, so that means I only had to do 65% of my time instead of 85. And so I ended up doing like 8.5 months, and then 45 days on the back end of it. So I get to processing, and processing was, you know, it was a cakewalk. You know, it was alright. You know, everybody's just coming out of county jail, so everybody's pasty white. You know, it's the first time we're able to go to yard. This is back when smoking was on camp. You could smoke cigarettes. And so the first thing people are doing is asking other people for cigarettes. You know, that's the first thing you do when you get to the yard. Hey, bro, let me get a cigarette, you know. And they charge for them, you know what I'm saying? Or if you got one of your homeboys or somebody you know, they'll give you some cigarettes, which is what happened with me. Because I'm from an area that had, you know, there was, in all the times I've been to prison, there's always been some people I knew in there, even in county jail, except for this last time that I went in, which was in 2015, is when I got out. So that time, I didn't know anybody in the cell block, which is crazy. It's crazy I didn't know anybody, but I did. And but anyway, so I get to the processing camp, and I gotta tell y'all, man, I'm a beast on the ping pong table. You know what I'm saying? So that was my hustle. You know, like you know, I'll play anybody. I even beat a guard out for a bag of chips. Guard thought he had something for me. Nope. So, but anyway, so you get to processing, and you're out there, you're doing your thing, and that's processing is just, it's where you see the doctors, you see the eye doctor, you see the regular doctor, you get your blood taken, you can request the AIDS test, you can see the psych doctor to make sure you don't need to be on psych meds or whatever. You know, you see everybody. Your counselor, you see them all, and then after you're done with that, which usually takes 3 to 6 weeks, after that they ship you out to your what I call stationary camp, your permanent camp, where you're gonna do your time at. Now, I had heard about this place called Tyrrell Prison Work Farm. And I'm like, work farm? They still doing that crap? You know what I mean? Like out in the field working? And they're not. It's just they used to work the field next door. They used to do pick potatoes. It was a potato farm. And they used to have the guys out there training horses and riding horses and picking potatoes and stuff. But they ended up shutting that part down, and they leased that out to a guy who does like a sharecropping deal now with the prison that owns the land there. So there's no more farming, but it's still in the name of the camp. So we're driving up. Now, mind you, Tyrrell Prison Work Farm is 5.5 hours driving time away from my house, from my family. So needless to say, I got 0 visits the whole time I was there. You know what I'm saying? So, and there's no air conditioning, and it's dorm living. So we get there, and I remember pulling up, and I'm seeing these big fences with the, you know, just that intimidating look of a prison entrance. You know, you see that, you get a little intimidated because you don't know what's inside, you don't know what's fixing to hit you. And we get there, and one of the sergeants comes on, you know, and he's in full dress uniform, big old black guy, you know, he's got his sleeves rolled up, he's got all this little stuff on his chest, and he's got his chevrons and stuff all over his shoulders and all, his hat pulled down, almost covering his eyes, you know, and he comes on the bus, and he's like, alright, I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm only gonna say it once. If you cause a problem here, you're going to the hole. You don't leave. We're not gonna ship you. I don't care how hot you get. I don't care how crazy you get. We got a hole for you. We got a spot for you, and we'll keep your ass there. And then he said the most shocking part that he said was also, if you don't have a knife, you better find one. I was like, damn, this is a high minimum, you know what I'm saying? This is a high one camp. It's an observation camp for gang members coming down from the higher levels, they're getting close to their release date, and so they move them down to an observation camp so they can be observed a little more closely. Now, I'm like, damn, so what the fuck did they just send my ass? So I get in there, and naturally I know 3, 4, 5 people, you know, and we immediately take over the volleyball court yard, because this yard was so huge. It went all the way around the prison, and you could walk it, but if you jogged this whole thing, I bet it was at least a half a mile if you did the whole circle all the way around the whole place. And the volleyball yard was set off to behind the buildings, whereas the 2 basketball courts and the 2 weight piles and the horseshoe pits and all that was on the side of the buildings. So we took over the volleyball courtyard. And I'm also a beast on the volleyball court. I'm 6'4", 6'5", so I spike it on them all. Man, I crush that thing, bro. And I'm not even building myself up. Like, when I was at Tabor City and I would be playing volleyball every Saturday, is it every Saturday or every other Saturday? I think it's every Saturday. They turned a little indoor basketball court and they put the net up for volleyball. And every Saturday when I would go in there and play, the guards would line the windows up to the gym, and there would be a line of guards in the back there watching me play. I was that good. And but anyway, back to Tyrrell. So we took over the volleyball courtyard. Well, they allowed us to have a tournament. You know what I'm saying? So we all chipped in and bought like a bunch of canteens and stuff like that, and that was going to the winner of the team. It was 2-man teams. The winner of the volleyball tournament. And the name of my team was Concrete Sledge, the name of that Pantera song. So naturally we won it. And then they actually had a talent contest where, like, the church that comes there, they have a band. So there's like a drum set, some guitars, a bass guitar, and microphones and stuff in the auditorium where the church plays. Well, the church allowed us to use their stuff to play songs. So I played the guitar, so naturally we played Folsom Prison Blues, except we just didn't say Folsom Prison, we said Tyrrell Prison. And naturally we won that too. There was 5 of us, and we all got canteen for that. And but the story here is, man, it's like, this was really I had been to prison once before, but it wasn't like prison like where I was at this time. It was a different type of prison. So when I went this time, it broke me in. You know what I'm saying? I got to see some stabbings. I got to see violence. I got to see what really goes on in the yards, where the drugs was at. Now what made it so prevalent there was smoking on the camp, and it was a cash camp, which means everyone in there is carrying cash money, no cards. This is back in 2007 and 8. So, needless to say, it was going down there. I saw a dude smoking crack out of a drink bottle. He took it and put aluminum foil on the top like he smoked weed out of, and he would put crack in there, light a match, stick his head in the locker and smoke crack. And I swear to God, I was sitting at the bunk right beside him. I was like, what's this, dude? You got some weed, man? I thought it was weed. I was like, hey, you got some weed, man? Let's smoke. And of course it wasn't. It was It was crack. You could hear it popping. So I was like, oh my God, man, smoking crack in prison, boy, that's a new low right there. And it also introduced, that place also introduced me to violence, because I got in 3 fights there. 2 fights were one-on-one in the showers. I won both of them, and another fight was a jumping. I was involved in jumping somebody just because he was going home. He was one of our homeboys, and he was going home early, and we had to stay, so we jumped his ass. We didn't beat him bad. We just, body shots and stuff like that, just showing love, our way. And it introduced me to the gangs, how the gangs work, and stuff like that. And the gambling tables and stuff like that. Now, you're not supposed to be gambling in prison, right? It's a write-up. It's just against the rules. Well, at this particular prison, every night we would set the table up, and the guards would come and stand right over us and watch the game, knowing we were gambling. Just standing there watching the game, like it wasn't nothing. There'd be 6 of us and a dealer, or 5 of us and a dealer, 6 on the table, and guys sitting behind waiting to jump in when someone gets up. And the guard would just come up, stand there and watch. You know what I'm saying? So I knew this place was a little bit crooked. You know what I'm saying? So, needless to say, to get to why I'm making this video, there was this female CO, right, that worked there. She was bad. She was so bad that I'd probably mess with her on the street. If I could find her, I'd definitely hit her up. And so we would talk every now and then. Whenever I'd be walking down the hallways and bump into her, we'd talk. We'd have these conversations, and I'd be real sweet and cordial and nice with her and stuff like that, while other guys are catcalling and hooting and hollering and all that. I was treating her with respect. You know what I'm saying? And she digged it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think I'm a bad looking dude. I'm not the best looking dude in the world, but I'm not a bad looking dude. And I remember one morning I was getting up. You get up, it's still dark outside, man. It's 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. You getting up, you go to breakfast at 5:36, so you can go to work. You know what I'm saying? You can come back, do your exercises, and then go to work at 8 o'clock. So I was getting out of bed one morning, and my bunk, I've said this in another video, was all the way to the back wall, directly under the fan. There was a big old fan right above me that blew into the dorm, and there was 4 of those fans. They were in each corner, and way back there and in the back, there was 4 of these big old fans that blew air, and I was right under the fan, which was cool with me because I caught just enough air. And that sound, just the sound of the fan running, would put me asleep. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, I was getting out of bed one morning, and she had been working the night shift. And, there's no air conditioning in there. And during the summertime, man, it gets hot, so hot that the water in the water fountains is hot. And that's actually that's going to lead into something I'll tell you about in a second. So, I remember I jumped out the bed. I was on the top bunk, and I jumped out the bed, and then you have my locker and then the outside wall. And the outside wall is connected to, there's the door there, right? The door that the officers go outside of the building to, and then they come around, they go through the other building, and they do the S-shaped thing because the wings are like this, 4 and 4. It's like wings like that. You know what I'm saying? With an administration building in the middle and a hallway in the middle. And it's more like this, something like that. And so she's walking by my bunk. I had just jumped off my bunk, and now there's a hole in the front of your boxers. You have to wear boxers to sleep in, and a t-shirt. They won't let you sleep naked or without shirt. So I jump off the bunk, and normally, guys got that morning wood going on, you know what I'm saying? and I didn't know it was sticking out of the actual hole. I just thought, you know, I wasn't even paying attention. I just jumped out of bed. I still got sleep in my eye and everything. And so I jump out of bed, and here she comes walking by doing a walkthrough, and I turn and look, and she looks right at me, and she like looks and looks down and looks back up, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And I look down, and my dick is just hanging out. And so she opened that outside door, but instead of letting it shut and beep, she stuck her foot there, and she reached her hand through, and she said, "Come here." So what did I do? I came here. Oh shit. So needless to say, I ain't gonna get into the details, man. It's a YouTube video. It's a family channel. So it went down. Not all the way 100% went down, but it went down, you know, past third base. Not a full grand slam, but, you know, a home run. And so after that, we would talk more and more every day, you know, and I never even thought to get her information because I wasn't planning on leaving. I was planning on staying there the whole time. And then one day out the blue, they just tell me, "Hey, you're moving to the other wing. You're going to the other side of the prison." And I'm like, "Man, what for?" You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm comfortable where I'm at, you know. I got my homeboys around me, and I'm comfortable where I'm at. And so they moved me all the way to another wing, to another dorm, and I'm sleeping in there. And my first day in that dorm, we had a riot. Those guys, somehow or another, I don't know how it got started, but one of the guys, well, not one of the guys, a bunch of the guys, they were complaining about the heat because they had kept telling us, okay, we're going to get air conditioning, we're going to get air conditioning, we're going to get air conditioning, because it's so hot. I'm talking 100 degrees inside the dorm hot, not just 85, it's 100 in there. And so finally the dudes just had enough, man, and they tore that day room to pieces. I mean, that bulletproof glass was cracked and busted all over the place to the point where they had to call in the county SWAT team in there. It was on the news that night, or the next day it was on the news how they had to have the SWAT team come in there and arrest the guys that were, and use smoke bombs and all that. And the funny thing about all of that was I slept all the way through every bit of it because I had my headphones in and I was all the way at the back of that block, that dorm too, and I slept through the whole thing. Woke up the next morning, the day room was destroyed and they would not let us clean it up. I'm talking the water fountain ripped off the wall, busted sinks, busted glass. Tables had been thrown around, everything was broken. It was crazy. And then the next morning after that, so I was only there for one day. The next morning they woke me up at 3:30 in the morning and said I was transferring. So I transferred to another prison. And how I got to that prison and what happened there, that'll be on another video. I just wanted to share that if anybody has any doubts about do inmates and guards have relations, yes, they do, very much so. Just about in every prison, and that's a given fact, and it's a known fact. So, and it happened with me, to me, so I know this for a fact. So anyway, I'm gonna cut this one off, man, and let it go. I'm gonna salute to all my soldiers, man, and my fans. Y'all keep it up, man. Keep viewing the channel. Keep watching. Let's get these views up, man. If I don't get these views up, man, I might just stop making videos altogether. I doubt it, because these videos help me. They help me with my memory. They help me feel better. They I can get things off my chest, secrets, you know, and it makes you feel like, you know, weight's getting lifted, you know what I'm saying, sometimes. So But let's get these views up, y'all. Come on, man. Let's do it for NC, man. Do it for the North Carolina pride, baby. So, anyway, man, I'll holler at y'all later, man. Have a blessed tomorrow.